Hello everybody, Kane here today with an episode of WildLife Park, and today we are building the Gharial exhibit in the zoo. And I am really happy with how this turned out overall. I think it was a very cool little exhibit, had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, a good way to round off at least this small part of our Asiatic section of the zoo. It was kind of well, okay, so I've kind of realized something when I was trying to come up with ideas for this build, and that was I kind of built myself into like a corner here, somewhat speaking, with how I laid out the garden and the panda exhibit, which meant that there wasn't tons and tons of room to work with for both the Gharial and what will probably be the next exhibit we do, just because I don't know, I kind of just needed a bit more space, and I didn't really give myself that with how I built some of the other exhibits, but overall, I think this one turns out really well. But you guys can let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Do you think it's a good one? Do you think it needs more work? Let me know. Anyway, the basic idea of this exhibit was I wanted to do a lake, because it's a crocodilian. Why wouldn't I want to do a lake? It's a very me thing to do. So the idea was to have this big shoreline at the very back of the exhibit, kind of framing the thing, and then having, a large lake be the majority of the build. So, you know, we have a lot of place for our Gharials to swim. Gharial, I don't know how it's supposed to be said. Gharial? Maybe it's Gharial instead of Gharial. I don't know. You know, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Someone's gonna correct me in the comments, but you know what, good on you, making sure I pronounce things correctly, even though I may never say that word again. Anyway, I did decide to do a bit of a different, shore block, I guess, than usual, which was, I decided to go with sand instead of my usual, you know, what's my usual block? Oh, like coarse dirt, podzol, and mud. And I think this looked really good. I think it definitely gave it a much more lake shore side kind of feel, and I really did like how that looked in the end. I was really happy with it. And yeah, I feel like the exhibit doesn't look super big from how it's kind of being viewed now, but it is a much bigger build than it looks like. And I don't know, I really like it. Most of the detailing for this one, and I can't believe I didn't mention this, we're using a different shader today. We're using BSL shaders, for the main reason of it has a much nicer underwater view than Stilder's did when using, not Optifine, Replay mod. So I decided to use that instead, just because I figured that might be a bit more helpful. But overall, yeah, wait, what was I saying? Anyway, yeah, I did decide to use a different shader, because most of the exhibit's detailing was underwater, which I felt was fitting. Man, I do really have the memory of a goldfish sometimes. But yeah, so mostly detailing is underwater, so I was like, you know what? We need a new shader that's gonna, maybe just for this episode, but one that's gonna give us a better underwater view. Speaking of underwater views though, I didn't actually do any underwater viewing for this exhibit. It was something I had originally considered, but I just couldn't really figure out the spacing for it, so I didn't end up doing it, but I think it looks okay without it. I really do. I think it turned out pretty good even without that. And there wasn't this trying to kind of awkwardly shoehorn in a way to view underwater. I think it worked better without it, but who knows? Maybe I'll add one in at some point in the future. Now you're seeing put in a ton of painstaking work to put sand down and stuff, and although this was an okay way to do it, I did realize later on at the very end, it would have just been far simpler to just use World Edit to replace all these blocks with sand and then just dig out the shape I wanted, than digging, replacing with sand, and doing all this kind of stuff, because this just took way longer than it really needed to. But yeah, overall, still looks cool. I will say one thing I do wish I had done before I started filling this with water though is put in some like rocks, like mossy stone, and cobblestone and all that kind of stuff, as well as probably some like logs and whatnot, maybe some gravel as well. Anyway, another thing you can see there is I decided to put in an island at that point because I realized there wasn't enough land and there was going to be too much water, so I wanted somewhere else to stick some plants and stuff like that, so decided to go with an island, and I think it looks pretty good overall. I really do. Anyway, we're throwing in the water now. I did forget I needed to actually throw in the rest of the blocks for the stone wall and the pathway and all that, but I remembered. Barely. Yeah, majority of this time-lapse is me just throwing in water and sand, but the rest of the exhibit I think looks really cool when finished, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. But, yeah, I haven't got much else to say, so I'm just gonna let the rest of the time-lapse run, and I will catch back up with you guys when we do the exhibit tour, so I'll see you guys then. Alright everybody, and here is the final product of our little Gharial Lake exhibit, and you know what, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, you guys will notice we used the different shaders. I'm sure I explained in the time-lapse that this was because, well, Silders didn't work very well underwater, but this one, BSL Shaders, has a wonderful underwater view that I think just, I don't know, really did more justice to what I was doing in here. And yeah, I think it looks really good. I really like the shader pack. Not sure if I like it as much as Silders, but it's pretty good overall, I think. Anyway, this is the full-on Gharial exhibit. We used a lot of, I believe, what's the mod's name? I think it's Aquatic Odyssey. Aquatic Odyssey's plants, as well as some ZAWA plants, to really just add a bunch of life to the underwater parts of this exhibit. And I don't know, I think it looks super cool. The Gharials look absolutely awesome. I'm really, again, I can't stop praising ZAWA's models. They look fantastic. They really do. They're awesome. Absolutely amazing. And overall, this exhibit, I think, is kind of interesting, because you can't really see into it from the panda exhibit, which is good. And you also can't see into the panda exhibit from the, well, you can. I mean, I'm going to work a bit more on the rock walls eventually, but I really like this. I think it's a nice little, its own kind of exhibit thing. What is going on here? I don't know, that was weird. But I think it's nice to have it be its own little thing, just kind of tucked away to the side here. I did like doing, like what we did with the pandas, where this whole side is just open and kept away from the Gharials just by a small rock wall. I think it looks really good overall. I think this is a cool exhibit. I'm really happy with it. And I think it's a good one to round off this section of the park, the Asiatic section of the zoo. As for other animals, we still have a decent amount of stuff left to put. Oh, I think we still have like 2 or 3 more animals that I wanted to put in. I think what I'm gonna do is have a combo exhibit that we're probably gonna fit over here somewhere. Probably dividing off the panda exhibit again by another little rock barrier type thing. And then we'll be done with the Asiatic Zoo and head back over to the other sections to finish those off. But yeah, we're getting pretty far in the zoo right now, or this part of the zoo, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. It's honestly really been a lot of fun to do this, and it's looking really good overall. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, guys, see ya.